Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Wahab Rakakwadash. In Hebrew, that's bringing all praises to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, which is the name of the Heavenly Father, through the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which is the Rakakwadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles, along with the Holy Spirit, who taught us His truth. Honor to the brethren who labor in doing the work, risking their life and freedom to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, which would be the true believers, the lost 12 tribes of Israel, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who are returning back to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, so that He will have mercy on us in judgment. So we're back with another lesson through the power and spirit of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And shout out to my cousin Torrance, Yasha Allah 144, for this link that he sent us. So we're going to get straight into it.
This is the end of the beginning. Welcome to today's show. This is another important video for anybody out there who's doubting that this fire wasn't created by our own government. I want to discuss what I mentioned in an earlier video, if you saw it, the potential of a smart city. Now, think of this perspective, and I'm going to show you some stuff. There's an article from 2018 from the World Economic Forum that I used in a previous video. And that article is about Hawaii having plans to be the first U.S. state to run entirely on clean energy. And there's another article from the World Economic Forum that talks about our alliance is creating smart city governance. Okay? They aren't going to be able to build smart cities unless they destroy the cities first, because they have to run out the small business owners who are not going to be on board or comply to their smart city nonsense. Their smart city is going to limit productivity, even though they pretend like it's going to increase it. And people don't want to be on board with it. They don't want to be forced into this stuff where they're monitor and track how much carbon you use at your work. This is all what their plan is, so they can shut you down and control you as they please, like in China. So, that being said, I'm going to get into all this stuff about Hawaii and the plans for to be the first U.S. state to run entirely. I'm going to get into the smart city. This is all stuff you need to see, because we all know the World Economic Forum are the ones pulling the strings, right? So if we know that when we see a fire like that, then the second that we hear that the plans are to bring in a smart city, you'll know why it was done. Lahaina is not a huge city. It's very small. It's more of a town than a city, but it's all small businesses. It's small restaurants. It's small art galleries. It's small souvenir shops. People, when they go to Maui, go there for that reason. They couldn't destroy somewhere like Honolulu. And we had the governor of Hawaii, who happens to be go by the name of Josh Green. You can't make it up, right? Green is in green energy. Who was just at the United Nations 2 months ago talking about Hawaii and being the first state to be 100% sustainable. Take a listen to this guy.
Governor Josh Green touted Hawaii's sustainability accomplishments at the United Nations Economic and Social Council in New York City. The governor was the keynote speaker in the forum that included more than 40 presenters from around the world. Green pointed out that Hawaii is in a unique position as an island state and has tried to lead the way in promoting renewable energy.
We tried to lead on energy and climate. We were the first state to mandate 100% renewable energy for electricity. So it's, again, an opportunity as a small state with technically a small footprint, but we do punch above our weight a little bit because of our position in the Pacific.
Speakers were invited to help implement the United Nations Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals in 2030.
So that's Governor Green. I mean, this is how in our faces this stuff is, right? It's about green energy. It's the green plan. Governor Green was just put in place in 2022. And less than a year, this happens. He's already just been at the United Nations 4 weeks ago. He was there 4 weeks ago. July 12th and July 19th. He was, through the 19th. That's when he was there. Okay? And he's talking about this stuff. Now, then we have to look at what a smart city is, because a lot of people out there don't understand that it's an enslavement city. They see all this tech and they're like, that's high tech. That's really neat. And one of the things that's going on in our country, you probably hear all these stories, right? Oh my goodness, Oregon's going to crap. San Francisco's going to crap. New York's going to crap. That's done by design. That's done to weed out business owners, to make them leave. They need to build smart cities. They're not going to be able to torch every city, so they need to destroy them economically. Look how many businesses have gone under in San Francisco. Malls going under, street stores going under. San Francisco is a hub. It is filled with rich people. Okay, so this is done by design. We know big tech runs not only out of California, they run out of San Francisco, Twitter, etc. So this is done by design. The World Economic Forum, their whole goal, our alliance is creating smart city governance, okay, which is control, right? Which means you don't leave the city, you stay in the city. Where you go, we say you go, right? You think this is all coincidental? I guarantee you that they're going to come out and they're going to announce when they start with the rebuilding plans for Lahaina, that Lahaina is going to be the first U.S. city that's a smart city. And it makes sense that they would choose Lahaina, one, because it's small compared to doing it in the Midland, and two, because it's not in the continental U.S., okay? It's over in an island. So they're not going to be heavily monitored. It's pretty liberal over there. So they're going to be able to do that and experiment there and make sure they tweak everything the way they want to tweak it without doing it right here in the heartland. But then it will be coming eventually to San Francisco and Oregon and Los Angeles. All these cities that they're destroying are going to turn into these smart city bubbles. And if you don't know what it looks like, here's a layout of the smart city. I'm going to show you a video clip. And keep in mind, this is them talking about it happening in Toronto, because, of course, we know the same thing is happening up in Canada with Trudeau, who is a World Economic Forum puppet, who is in the global leadership groups, the youth groups, et cetera, who's been groomed from a young age to destroy his country, to give it the globalist image now, which would be a smart city. Take a look at this hell on earth.
Does this look familiar? Sitting in gridlock traffic, rushing from work to appointments, going to be late for dinner again. The road rage kicks in. This is the life we're used to. But what if life could look like this? An oasis of green parks, endless sidewalks, and empty roads. Impossible? Well, it's actually the concept behind the 15-minute city.
15-minute city, or the 15-minute neighborhood, is certainly something that's become very much, you can say, in vogue recently.
Paris is working towards it, so is Barcelona and Portland, and now Vancouver also has a plan in place.
Big new move number one was that we build a city where, for all residents in the city, 90% of your daily needs are within a walking distance.
When I put the closest grocery store in my GPS, it's more than a 30-minute walk away. But in a 15-minute city, I could walk to the grocery store, post office, doctor's appointment, gym, hair salon, dentist, you name it, all within, you guessed it, just 15 minutes. A solution not just for gridlock on the streets, but also for carbon emissions. In fact, the goals of creating a more walkable city were announced as part of Vancouver's recent Climate Emergency Action Plan. And the Vancouver Plan and Project team are already in the process of figuring out what neighborhoods should look like and how to translate that into land use strategies.
Just look at your neighborhood and look at your walk score. The walk score actually just tells you how many good things you're a short walk from. Where we get really low walk scores are in the parts of the city that are largely suburban. And so there's some sections where, single-family homes are really far from a lot of retail. And in those areas, the actual answer is to deliver more of those commercial services to them.
The Plan and Project team will be addressing council with options as early as July. They'll also have some pilot project ideas. But for this plan to really work, you don't just need to change the city.
To meet the environmental goals that the country, the province, and the city have committed to repeatedly, is to change behavior.
So in Vancouver's latest Climate Emergency Action Plan, they announced new incentives to drive less, like connecting cycling and walking networks citywide, in hopes that 80% of trips by 2030 will be made either by foot, bike, or transit. They also announced disincentives for driving, like implementing transportation pricing in the Metro Core and creating a carbon pollution surcharge on residential parking permits. But all of this takes some time.
Cities change slowly over time because you actually have to build them.
The team says they're looking at how to move Vancouver towards this vision over the next 30 to 50 years.
What happens when a group of the world's greatest minds, gifted with wealth beyond our imagination, buys a sprawling waterfront property in Toronto? They make plans for a $14.3 billion futuristic city, that's what. Sidewalk Labs released its Master Innovation and Development Plans to turn a chunk of Toronto's Lake Ontario shoreline into the most futuristic city in the world. It would result in over 93,000 jobs and a better standard of living for its residents. Alphabet, an umbrella company that includes Google and Sidewalk Labs, is now creating the world's first smart city in Toronto, Canada. It seeks to provide technological solutions to improve citizens' lives. There will be two key areas. Quayside, which is along the shorelines of Lake Ontario and features houses, shops, and offices. The first office here, of course, will be Google's. The second area is the River District, an area of 152 acres featuring 5 neighborhoods surrounding the Don River. Now, on the housing front, there's a plan for a collection of new mixed-use buildings up to 30 stories tall. The project would cost around $3.9 billion and would use mass timber and modular components made in the local factory owned by Sidewalk Labs. To get around, the city will have a $1.2 billion light rail extension, which would connect the neighborhoods to mass transit before the new residents move in. It would cut down on the need for residents to own a car, and it would be safe and affordable. Canada is known for its somewhat overwhelming winters. You've heard the jokes. Well, the hyper-local weather sensors would detect an oncoming snowstorm and heat up the snow-melting pavements. It would keep the streets clear for pedestrians and cyclists, as well as autonomous delivery robots. It's all going to be connected, heavily monitored, and pretty much self-regulating. Wi-Fi would be available for everyone throughout the city for free, and sensors around the area would collect data on the energy usage, traffic patterns, and much, much more to ensure you as a resident lead the most comfortable life possible. What's more, the city is going to be climate positive, aka netting a sub-zero carbon footprint. But we already expected that, right? In Toronto, Sidewalk Labs shows a picture of a world with intelligent pay-as-you-throw garbage chutes that separate your plastic from papers for you. The city would charge households by waste, and apps would tell residents when chairs on the waterfront were open so residents can get approvals for block party permits. In addition, traffic signals will auto-calibrate to ease pedestrian congestion during public events and rush hours. The director of Sidewalk Labs, Eric Jaffe, was primarily responsible for this impressive proposal. He expects, or rather hopes, that more cities around the world will pick up on this blueprint and use it for themselves. One of those ideas is for a factory-built housing. It helps developers complete their projects reliably, on time, and at a lower cost. Critique and government approval. Before all that, though, government officials have to scrutinize and approve Sidewalk Labs' master plan. Or not. And don't expect the process to be a snap. Some of the major elements of the project have shifted over time, and so have the targets of the project's detractors. When Waterfront Toronto, the government-appointed non-profit developer of Toronto's Eastern Shore, chose Sidewalk Labs to plan their smart city development, the most controversial point of the plan was the idea that a Google sister company planned to harvest data in public space. Over time, Sidewalk Labs was criticized for not revealing how they would use the data and who would control it. And for a while there, the Canadian Civil Liberties Association sued the government to stop the project. So, sure, Sidewalk Labs dreamt of making a section of Toronto a futuristic city, the likes of which we've only ever seen in science fiction. But skeptics saw a darker side. Thousands of cameras monitoring streets, and data from every household being taken and used. This was one among many things their CEO, Sundar Pichai, had to testify about when he was called to Congress and pretty much grilled for 3.5 hours. For those reasons, and perhaps others, the Sidewalk Toronto project was abandoned in May of 2020 to give way for a new kind of city. As exciting as the new city would have been, we still lost the chance to have an internet-first community, which promised affordable internet and precise data on our carbon footprint and consumption to live more sustainable lifestyles. We lost a fully integrated transport system, social housing, 93,000 jobs, and finally, a green city initiative. But bigger things are to come. The new city in Toronto. Now, Quayside will have a new, different kind of development. The government called for proposals when Google and Toronto parted ways, and these new plans seem to center on affordability, low-carbon design, and an emphasis on local and minority-owned businesses instead of what some have called a dystopian nightmare. There's a lot to be done. So far, the plans only include glossy renderings of wooden skyscrapers and the integration of elements of Lake Ontario into parks and recreational areas. But one thing's for sure, it won't be a Google smart city. Would you want to live in a Google city? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and check out more on the Simply Tech channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
So, I mean, that's what it looks like. I understand the youth are going to think that that's cool because they think all that stuff's fancy and cool. They have no idea. They're like, wow, a flying car or I can get everywhere in 15 minutes. Oh, and it's going to be all people like me. And they're going to eat each other alive, first of all. But it's going to be, I mean, it is going to be an absolute dystopian city. And they know that they're going to be able to lure the liberals in. Oh, guess what? We have Planned Parenthood here. You can come here. Your body is, you could use your body however you want in this city. Oh, you're LGB. Oh, come to our city. You're accepted here. We have Pride every month. Oh, great. Get them in, trap them in. That's what they're going to do. That's exactly where this is headed. So they talk about on their website, it's pretty incredible how out in the open this is. Because when they did that, that's the first thing I thought of was the smart city. That's exactly where my brain went. They took a city, a small city down. I mean, some might consider it.
Okay, so y'all saw the video. Pretty much the governor for Hawaii was involved in a court hearing of making Hawaii a smart state. Zero energy emissions, green energy. But what they did was they destroyed Hawaii so they can rebuild it as a smart city. And I got a couple screenshots we're going to look at over here. So when we look here, it reads locals in Maui were refusing to sell their land to the elites because the area of Maui is a big tourist attraction. And because it's such a popular place, the value in that area has increased. So the residents don't want to sell their houses because they increase in value every year. So they was refusing to sell their houses. So the part of the island mainly destroyed by the fires was prime area right next to lavish mega mansions. Now, whose mansions were these residents living next to? We're going to see in a minute. Now, a lot of these locals are forced to sell their land, and many tragically died in the flames. So yeah, because their stuff burnt down, they don't got nothing. So all they can do is sell the land now. Not to mention, I seen a screenshot that there were real estate agents in Maui after the fire had destroyed everything, and they was buying and selling the land. So Oprah Winfrey, that wench, got a mansion. Hers was not touched by the fire. Jeff Bezos, his mansion wasn't touched by the fire, as well as Lady Gaga, Bill Gates, Morgan Freeman, Will Smith. All of these people, their mansions was not touched by the fire. So that shows you that all this was intentional, and that's why these weapons are called direct energy weapons. They targeted key places that they wanted to burn. The U.S. Department of Defense is spending roughly $1 billion a year to develop what are known in the trade as direct energy weapons, which are those laser beams, according to a new report from the U.S. Government Accountability Office. So we saw the concept in that video of what they want to do in these smart cities. One key thing that stood out is he said that everything will be heavily monitored. Everything is already monitored right now in America. So how much worse could it be if everything is heavily monitored? From how much you drive, how much you use your air conditioner and heating in your home, how much food you buy, how much trash you produce and throw away, how much you flush your toilet. That's what it means to be heavily monitored. All right, so we'll get into these scriptures real quick. And the first scripture we're going to get into, excuse me, we're going to get to the book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach. We're going to get chapter 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So iron is going to rust, and once you see that rust, it get worse and worse. Your enemy, he's going to show his wickedness, and when this wickedness begin to show, it's going to get worse and worse. So when the residents of Maui were refusing to sell their homes, that was the beginning of the wickedness of the enemy. Because the enemy, like, you know what? We can't offer people money to sell their homes. Let's burn them out by using these direct energy weapons. So when we come down here to verse 17, it reads, if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And yet, though he pretend to help thee, yet he shall undermine thee. Yeah, so if you find yourself in any kind of adversity, catastrophe, who's going to be there first? Esau. Usually the first person on the scene is the person that did the crime. Before the forest fires, Esau was there trying to get people to sell their homes. After the forest fires them burnt out, Esau was on the scene buying up the land, buying up abandoned property. So yeah, you'll find him there first. And Esau was there before and after the fires. Before the fires, he couldn't get the land or property he wanted, but after the fires, he was able to get it. And though he pretend to help thee, yet he shall undermine thee. And he's not really helping these people. Where are all these people going? FEMA death camps. They homeless, got nowhere to go. You know, Esau don't ever got no good intentions with the people. And that's why the scriptures say, he who does evil to himself, to whom will he do good? And that he doesn't take pleasure in doing good. And that's why the book of Isaiah 14:21 reads, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers. So that would be the Edomites today, being punished, put to death for the iniquity of their fathers, which would be the older slave masters from a few hundred years ago, the founding fathers of America, George Bush, did I say George Bush? Him too. Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, slave masters, that devil Christopher Columbus, the Greeks, the Romans, all the way back to Esau, all the way back to Cain. So they're going to be put to death and judgment for their wickedness that they've been doing since the beginning of time. So again, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Well, don't these Edomite devils already possess the land? Didn't they already fill the face of the world with cities? Well, this talking about them smart cities. Kill them now so they don't start building up these smart cities all over the place. Because those smart cities is just a open prison. You're not necessarily stuck behind metal bars, but you're trapped in that city. It's heavily monitored. Everything you do is closely watched, and there's no escape. It's like a digital net. So kill them now so they don't fill the face of the world with these smart cities, because they done already filled the earth with churches, liquor stores, bars and restaurants, you know. But these smart cities, hey, that's what the Lord is not about to let them do. And they possess the land by theft. They already possess most of the land in the world, you know, but the little bit they don't possess, you know, they want to steal it. But that's why we go to the book of Habakkuk 2:10. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people. So Esau Edom is held in reproach for the bloodshed that they got, the extermination of the Native Americans, the torture and Holocaust of the African American slaves, the extinction of the animals, many people and lives that they've destroyed since they've been in power. So again, thou hast consulted shame to thy house. That's the house of Esau, which is the white man, by cutting off many people. And he cut off many people in Hawaii with these direct energy weapons. So that what? So that he could possess the land and fill the earth with smart cities. So that's why the Lord said, prepare slaughter for them. And has sinned against thy soul, which the scriptures say, roughly paraphrasing, he that doeth wrong robbeth his own soul. So you do wrong, you robbing your own soul, meaning you only hurting yourself, no matter what you gain in the process. Habakkuk 2 and 12, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood. Yeah, so Esau Edom, he done already built America, Canada, South and Central America, the Caribbeans off of blood. All over the earth. Everything he's possessed and built it up, it's off of blood. Well, how much more these smart cities? Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood. So if they did turn Hawaii into a smart city, a smart state, hey, it was built off of blood. Many people lost their lives in a fire, and many people lost their means of living. And establisheth a city by iniquity. So these smart cities are going to be established by iniquity. If they don't physically destroy them and burn the people out, Esau got another tactic. He'll make small businesses go out of business so that the property in the buildings will be considered abandoned or vacant, like out there in California. And with all those abandoned buildings, vacant buildings, they can establish the smart city that way because there's nobody there to possess the land or the property. So they'll move in, once everything is empty. But yeah, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood. Not just America, they already built everything off of blood. But if you let these Edomite devils have their way, they'll wipe out everything that's been built. They will wipe it out. The infrastructure, the land, the people, and they will rebuild it into these smart cities. And that's why the Lord, matter of fact, let me go back. And yeah, for the people who didn't lose their lives, but they lost a business, they lost their house, they lost their resources, they lost their property, they lost their income, their job, they lost anything that's needed to live on. You still a shedder of blood, and we're gonna explain that real quick. Sirach 34 and 21. The bread of the needy is their life. He that defraudeth him, therefore is a man of blood. When you defraud somebody, when you cheat somebody out of something, or you obtain something illegally at the expense of somebody else. So Esau attained that property by defrauding the people, lying to them, destroying the city, burning them out to get what he desires. He that taketh away his neighbor's living slayeth him. So Esau took away their food, their property, their jobs, their business, their money, their homes. They got nowhere to go. So they may still be alive, but Esau took away their living. So that's the same thing as killing them. Because it's not the result, it's what's in your heart. In your heart, your intentions was to kill them people so you can take the land and build up a smart city. Well, through a miracle, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, they survive, but they don't got nothing. But you still a shedder of blood. And he that defraudeth the labor of his hire is a blood shedder. So you still a blood shedder, you still a slayer. You didn't kill them people on the spot, but you killing them slowly. How many more people might die? Because they stranded, they trapped, they ain't been found. They're gonna starve to death, be dehydrated, you get sick from the smoke, or they ain't got no home, no help, so they gonna die off in the process. It ain't the result, it's what's in your heart. And what was in your heart was to kill the people, take the land, build up smart cities. So again, he that taketh away his neighbor's living, slayeth him. All them people had their living taken away. Everything that they owned, everything that they knew, Esau killed them in the spirit. And he that defraudeth the labor of his hire is a blood shedder. Yeah, you a blood shedder, you defrauded them people. Not to mention, when we look at this article right here, it reads, Joe Biden sending $700 to Maui fire victims sparks backlash, and that is insulting. Yeah, if you was going to do that, you should at least gave them people their money worth, which Esau's not going to do. And let's expound on this. Sloppy Joe Biden is facing criticism, after offering victims $700 per household in emergency aid. Political opponents and commentators describe the sum as insulting, compared it with the more than $113 billion worth of aid the U.S. has sent to Ukraine. So Ukraine can get $113 billion, but the residents there only getting $700. So Esau killed them in the spirit, took away their living. Then he's defrauding them, meaning cheating them. Not giving them, what they owe, only giving them $700. So Esau a bloodshedder. He defrauding the people of his land. And that's why when we come to Revelation 11 and 18, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, in the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. What's going on in Canada? Canada been on fire for 2 months. It's still burning at this very second. Don't think that went out. Hawaii, that's been destroyed. And there's countries all over the world that's on fire right now. So again, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. Who developed these direct energy weapons? Who's polluting the land all over the place? Gas, oil, toxic chemical spills, forever waters, chemtrails, smog, smoke, carbon emissions, plastic and rubber and all that everywhere. That's Esau. So we in a time that he's going to be destroyed so that he don't fill the face of the earth with smart cities. Numbers 35 and 33. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are. For blood it defileth the land. So the shedding of blood, of innocent blood, defiles the land. And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Who's the shedder of blood? Going back to the book of Sirach, 34, 21 and 22. He that take away his neighbor's living slayeth him. He that defraudeth the labor of his hire is a bloodshedder. Going back to Habakkuk 2 and 10, when it read, woe to him that buildeth a town on blood. America and everything that Esau Edom possessed was already built off of blood. The robbing, murdering, and raping of the people, the torture, the free labor, the wicked oppression, everything has already been built off of blood. Or, the blood has already been shed. So now we in the days that the earth is going to be cleansed and restored by Esau having his blood shed. Because blood pollute the land just like gas and oil. It's evil that's been sown in the earth. And this place can't pass away. This place of evil got to pass away so that the place that's sown with good can come. So a destruction is required, and that's the destruction of the wicked. Hey, so the earth about to be cleansed by Esau having his blood shed. Everybody he's killed, he's going to receive double all at once by this nuclear destruction. Yeah, so America, Hawaii, all the land is polluted by Esau shedding blood. Hey, so his blood got to be shed all over. Hey, that's why the third part of man is going to be cut off on that certain hour of a certain day of a month in a year. And we approaching that day. This might be the year. It's only a few more months. So what month is it going to be? If it ain't this year, it's only 12 months next year. So one of them months on a certain date at an hour, the third part of man, Esau Edom, the white man, the shedder of blood, going to have his blood shed, restoring the earth. So that's it for this lesson here. Till next time, Shalom.